Well, good evening, and thank you for being here tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about the VATRE, the Voter Approval Tax Regulation, Tax Resolution Election, and answer hopefully any questions you have.
Okay.
I am not able to promote or dissuade you from voting one way or the other since I work for the district in the business office, but I hope I can answer all of your questions and explain how this came to be. Okay. About a year ago, the board decided to go out to the community and have meetings like this one that we're having tonight and talk to the community about how we can best work on our facilities, have competitive wages, take care of all of our safety and security needs with the budget that we have. And they heard from the community. Mr. Jones was one of our subcommittee members who went out. I think y'all held 5 public meetings. Listened to the community that was there. Hello, how are you? Glad you're here.
Sorry, I'm late.
No, you're fine. Did you get a paper from Sheila?
I get it.
It's okay. And we were just kind of going back and talking a little. It is freezing. No one's in here, so we're soaking up all the cool air.
Okay.
Going back a little bit, talking about every year when we adopt budgets, it's always a struggle. We've had several failed bonds, and so a lot of our funding that we receive through the maintenance and operations budget, which is 85% of it is payroll, a lot of it has to be spent on the maintenance of our buildings, and so that reduces what we have left for payroll. And so in those community meetings, when they were trying to decide, listen to the voters and the community and find out what they wanted us to do, everyone wants us to do both, but we can't do everything, and so the priority at this moment is teacher pay, teacher and staff pay. So I think really what y'all had spoke about was, and feel free to jump in,
Yes, sure.
Mr. Jones, because you were there. We want to be able, we can't just raise teacher pay without looking at everybody to lift the system up as a whole, and everybody plays a part, whether you're in transportation or whether you're in food service. It's really important that we look at everything. But we wanted to prioritize, the community wanted to prioritize the teachers who were here at longer with years of experience, because typically what happens is 5 years is kind of a golden time where you've already gotten a lot of professional development, you have more tools in your pocket, you can be really effective with the kids.
You're marketable.
Yes.
And you're marketable.
So what happens a lot of times is people may move to another location, they gain some experience here, they've been trained up, and they go and they find other higher paying jobs in other districts that we're not able to compete with. So as we were working on this plan with the board, the target is the gray.
Okay.
The target is an 11 million threshold to get up to. And you can see that our target is to raise our classified bus drivers, paraprofessionals, $2 an hour.
Okay.
You can see that they have prioritized teachers with 5 or more years experience with a $7,000 overall pay increase. And administration with a 3% of midpoint. So 50% of the 11 million goes to our teachers who are 5 years or more. And that's because if we don't have quality teachers in Victoria, then our community will suffer later. So it's really about putting everything we have into our quality education so our students benefit and then our community benefits. So it's a long-range plan. I know I'm speaking to the choir. Y'all all understand this. I taught 20 years, so. In the very first column, that is what we have, you've heard about the budget cuts we've had. So that's where we have squeezed down as much as we could to try to fund a third of this plan. And the other in the red, this other version 2, is contingent upon the VATRE passage.
Okay.
So if it passes, we're able to fund version 2. If it does not pass, we are left with the version 1.
So the gray is, you're pencil whipping it
Yes.
and making it work? And-
Yes.
Okay, and then this is
Yes.
proposed, gotcha.
Our paraprofessionals are a very large part of what we do every day. They're very valuable to our functioning, helping getting smaller groups with our classrooms, and their pay is about $11 an hour starting. And that's difficult to be marketable in Victoria, to attract people to come into education when other entities can pay more than that amount.
I don't guess I realized that it was that low, to tell you the truth. See, I was a paraprofessional. I did PE at Roland, yeah, and I think it was close to that at that time. Wow, that
So,
was 30 years ago.
And before I jump in, I'll say that you can go to, and it takes a little bit, but you can go to HEB with no high school education
Oh, yeah.
and start at 13 an hour.
Yeah.
Right.
With a lot
Just so
less
you know.
responsibility as far as the
And-
lifeblood of our country goes. Yeah, I mean. 'cause-
And then they
yeah.
pay you a bonus just for being part of it and up to $500 just
Yeah.
for being an
Yeah.
employee.
No, that's needed.
so if you look on the back side, there's a little bit about the past total tax rates. So you can kind of see that our proposed tax rate is not about 9 cents higher than it was last year. So that's what triggers the VATRE. And when you hear VATRE, sometimes people say VATRE. It's all the same thing. It's the 9 cents. So when you look at in 2019-2020, it was $1.19 per $100 of assessed value. So we've come down 39 cents since then, and that's due to state compression. So we know property values are rising. This is the state's way to push down some of the cost for the taxpayers. And so last year was our lowest tax rate. But this next year, or this year that we're in, we're asking for the 9 cents back so we can fund version 2 of that compensation plan. So a little bit about that. When you go to the voting poll, the ballot is sometimes a little confusing. So there's a sample ballot on our website, and we don't have the actual website, but if you go to visd.net, and it will be a banner, and you click on it, there's a QR code, there's some videos about the VATRE. It also talks a little bit about some of the different tax rates in the area. There's an efficiency study on there that the auditors are required to do by state legislation. So that was, the quote was, "We are doing more with less in Victoria," compared to districts that are comparable to us. If you look a little bit with what the property owner would pay, an average house is about $235,000 in Victoria. And if you have your homestead exemption, you take that amount off. That was a nice increase this past year for us. So it brings us down to a taxable value of $135,000 on a $100 assessed value, times the 9 cents gives you, it's about $10 a month that the 9 cents would cost that homeowner. If you look at the $500,000 home with a homestead exemption, would cost about $30 a month.
So no
The-
more Starbucks.
You know, and I
For
think
one
about
day.
I
For
think
one
about
day.
that often. Yeah.
No, I understand. But I really, what you're saying, nuts and bolts, that's not a whole lot of a rate for what you're saying that's going to fund.
And when we think about the $7,000 target, Mr. Jones, I know we were trying to get our district more to state average. So state average, we're about 7,000 below state average. Other districts around us are also going out for their VATRE, so if they're successful, you know, we're still trying to compete to keep our quality staff and teachers. A little bit more, there's some early voting going on right now through November 1st, and Election Day is November 5th.
How many more of these presentations do you have?
We have 2 more next week, on Monday and Tuesday.
Where they at?
Monday, Jacob, Monday,
It's either Chandler or STEM.
I have it. Okay, STEM and Chandler, both at 6:30.
And does Randy or you or your office have any others, like the civics, or are you pretty well done?
Randy has been going to,
I mean, I'm sure he's been 50 plus, I don't doubt it,
Yes,
but I'm just
yes.
asking, because we have limited time,
right,
and I'm going to ask some tough questions.
Okay.
But you shouldn't expect less from me, because you've had experience.
absolutely,
But when I get answers, and I can be a bigger megaphone for you.
okay.
So I came in late, so make sure that you,
No,
if you have anything that, jump in.
well, you have an insight. What are some of those questions that you had?
Well, we're in good company. I hope you know I love you all, and I really want the best for this community.
Thank you.
But let me just be fair. We did a VATRE in 2020. How much of that was spent? What were some of the learnings that we could apply to now for this new one we wish we'd have done for the last one? And what percentage of the money was spent for teacher salary versus operations? Those are just the starts.
Well, I've been in my role 2 years,
I know.
so, and Randy was not even here in 2020, so that would go back to,
2022 it was,
Okay.
the last one, and it passed.
okay,
So I wanted to just help you to give you some armor to think about. And honestly, if you don't know, you don't know.
I truly do not know,
But that will help
but you know that I will find out
Yes, I
and get
do.
back with you.
I do. So just think about that, because that may be on the heart of some people that are out there that say, you know what, we just did this 2 years ago. Where are they at with that?
And so when we think about where we are as a state and knowing that our per pupil allotment has not increased since 2019, although we know what has happened with inflation, we know that we've had failed bonds, and with those failed bonds, we pay more out of our M&O budget. And I think that was some confusion for some voters, is the M&O budget, they think it's for buildings. This is only for pay. Payroll comes out of M&O. But when when we don't have the bonds to pay for the building needs that we have, then we have to use the M&O budget to fix the leaky roofs or the plumbing
Or
issues
the air conditioners.
and the air conditioners, or so it becomes a struggle of doing all of it out of the same bucket of money. But
So one of the things that when I was on the board that I asked, and you may recall, and please challenge me on it or go back, we had TASB come in and give us a presentation, and they told us, we've done our homework, we've surveyed the area, et cetera, et cetera. And if you've heard it, stop me, but for the most part, as I said, okay, I'm good with what you've given us, but I'm not good for what you've done. You missed something. And what you've done is told us what state averages are and what the area is. I don't want to compete with just the area. I want to compete with the best. I want best models, best in practices. So what is the distinguished schools paying? Because I've done my homework, and I know we're not even near that, and we need to be. So
Yeah.
I challenged him, but I also challenged myself, and I pushed a lot hard, because, and don't get me wrong, this is great, and I'm all for it. But this is still, as you just indicated, it's not as competitive.
this is what we can do without state support.
So let me ask this question. If you look, this is another tough one somewhat, but if you look at our general fund, 2014, 2012, we were never above 15 million. So we had less than 30 days of operations.
You're not fun balance.
Yes. And this is where you may know, and I don't, but we passed bonds. But my point being is we had small fund balance and we passed bonds. We took risk. And I believe, as an investor, you have to take risk and you have to invest. And this is the time that we should be doing it as a district. Fast forward, we're at the highest level we've been for the last 3 or 4 years, and we've not been able to pass a bond. So something's got to be giving.
So we have been able to build our fund balance thanks to ESSER. So we were told, do some supplanting, which it was allowed by ESSER, which we did. And that's how we've been able to sustain what we've been able to do due to facilities. Not just facilities, safety and security with all the mandates that have come down that were not funded has soaked up a lot. So we've been able to use that fund balance for very strategic things for our facilities, for our safety and security. But you can't rely on fund balance for teacher pay. And so that's the
I
challenge.
agree with you, and this is where I always disagree with the board, so I'm kind of a lone person, but in my day, was I said, I know that you want that sustainability, but I have enough confidence that we will have that sustainability by the staff that we have to write the grants, to replenish that, find a new one. And I want to whittle it down to one thing that was just always, to me, very sensitive. In my background, when we would do trainings, we were expected to get a deliverant of that training. So instead of sending 5 people, we would send 1, who then had the responsibility to train the other 4.
Right?
And then the next year, it rotated, so that you had some kind of training every 3 to 5 years. I didn't see that as much as I would have liked to have seen that in the district, and that's just one example. When I can see that, and that stuff happening,
Are you talking about the board doing that?
I'm
Are you
talking
about
board, teachers,
everybody?
everybody.
So that's a trainer of trainer models, and we do have that put in place
But not
for
enough of it.
quite a few programs.
but not
yeah.
enough. And we never, and I can't say because I don't know the operations well enough, but as a board,
Right.
never did we talked a little bit about it, but we didn't strategically say, okay, we know where we want to go, here's the things that SLI is going to offer. We can't dictate to what you want to do, but we encourage you here so that we can benefit that and then take it back to wherever we have skill. My point being is it's a good use of money.
Well, it is.
So I just think that we need to spend money now to get us at that level, whether it's, and this is a little pie in the sky, but 60,000 starting salary, because we are losing teachers to the Cadies and to the Fort Benns and all that we're
Right.
doing that. And I also know that when we start raising, because of insurance, that cuts some of that raise down.
Right.
Even though we did there.
Yeah.
And I recommended to.
You are saying everything that we need to happen, but with our current funding structure, there's only so much you can do. So the 9 cents that the VATRE is going out for, if that is accepted by the voters, that is under current structure. We cannot ask for any other M&O pennies. That's it.
Yep.
We're locked out.
Yep.
So the only thing that we could do was do a building maintenance bond.
But you can still raise teachers' increase of salary beyond this, what you have,
How?
just by making some decisions on things.
That's what we've been doing, and that's how we squeeze down to get to column 1.
I don't know it well enough, and it's not that I don't trust you, but I also know that if you really, and just do it personally, if you really, want to get something, you'll prioritize, and I think that's what y'all started doing, was cutting and saying, but I'll be frank, this one thing bothered me. So in the newspaper, it said that our athletic director said we're not going to use charter buses. I go to the San Antonio game, I saw nothing but charter buses.
So
that's
Coach
some-
Gant can tell you what they've done. So he has organized to where they have so many, and I don't know his formula. And the ones that they don't have charter for, they're using our yellow buses. And if the Booster Club chooses to add the difference to it, to make it a charter, they're doing that. And part of it has to do with, I know y'all rode on the bus recently.
Yep.
They're designed a little different than they used to be. The seats are very small for large people.
Don't misunderstand. I know that maybe they can get there, but
They-
it came across, and that's
Yeah.
the things you need to be aware of.
Yeah.
That it
Well,
hit
the
at the same
the
time.
perception. It's the perception. Yeah.
It is perception. And hopefully all the parents are explaining that they're fundraising for that.
And that's another thing. It kills me to know. I mean, you can appreciate being a coach's wife. If there's a single mom that's got 2 kids in the program, and they just can't,
Right.
and they can't afford to do some things, and I just really would love to see the district be able to do more, not just with sports, but with band and other things that just.
So if we were to start with a big budget number and we started taking off those big amounts of money, right? Just off the top of my head, I'm thinking like the safety and security added, and we don't get into all the things that we do for safety and security reasons, but a lot of money is spent on safety and security.
And it's unfortunate.
Part of it is mandated, part of it is we know that that's what we have to do. A huge portion is our insurance. You know, the huge increases we've had over the last 2 years. We had some revenue reductions with SHAR's Medicaid, huge reductions. So $3 million for utility costs. When you start adding those big ticket, there's not a lot left. So talk to some of the departments that have had their budget cuts. I mean, $1.5 million is just for our appraisal district fees. So we're a large district, but we have large bills. We're close to the coast.
And so, 2 things that I'll share with you in addition. One of the things I've done is I found out who the top 10 taxpayers are and how we work together with them instead of booster clubs. Get those top 10 taxpayers. They have a vested interest to have a good output of students. There's going to be their future workforce. And I don't think we've leveraged that hard enough yet. Then the other thing that I'll share with you, and I never forgot it.
So you're talking about corporately though?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. When my very first month or second month on the job, the band or East, I forgot who it was, but they were traveling to Florida. And maybe you recall this. I asked the question, why aren't you flying? And just we naturally say it's more expensive. But you put into the cost, the time, and the tiredness and everything, and I did an analysis. It was actually cheaper to fly. At that time, they had rates.
Right.
That's the stuff that I hope to, and to be honest with you, I got my hands slapped in the back rooms, and I couldn't understand it. To me, if it's saving money, and more importantly, it saves some time,
Right.
that they can be better prepared to compete or do whatever learnings, that just makes logical sense.
Yeah.
And those are the kind of things that I've always been in wonder.
In a normal day-to-day operation, I guarantee you we are constantly looking at ways to cut the cost or save money or get around having to do this. But the things that we are doing, yes, they add up, but not in large amounts.
Because of your 85%, I get it as an operation of the
Yes.
salaries.
Yes.
I understand that.
So, I mean,
In fact, along those lines, I did some quick math just now. This raise for the 0 teachers gets them to 50. You talked about 60. So I said they need 6 times this raise to get to 60. So if I take 6 times for all the teachers, so they're all going to move up the same way, that's roughly $32 million. Which, if we put that in there and we took everything out, the other 15, that puts us at 110% of our budget. So it's just, I mean, even if we only pay salary, there's not enough to get them to that number. So I don't know how those school districts are doing that.
Well, see, and and this, Michelle, I shouldn't say it, but I wanted to do it, because I know one time I did my math, and I said, I even had Randy and, at the time, blank now, the guy that went to Wimberley.
oh, Dr. Bonewald.
Had him in Shepherd's office, and I said, 3.6 million is what we need annually to increase sustainability. I don't want sustainability for 15 years, 5 years, I just want it for 3 years.
Right.
And here's why, because I can't really foresee the future. Maybe we could do 3.2, maybe we have to do 4.2, but at least commit that so that people see that, teachers want to come to it. And that would have had, and at the time we had, I think it was 60 days of operation from the budget. We weren't even at the 90 plus that, when we are now. And so 3.6 times 3 years is, still a doable number. And that's the kind of things that I wished at the time we would have done. And one of the big things I will share with you that I'm still concerned with, it's the little things that people see operationally that they get on board. And I'll give you one other example. How many times, and I sat out there and I counted cars in West turning left on the highway on the first day of school in. The police were even, at that time, the last time I was there, they were drone videoing all the way back to Las Palmas. Okay? Now it's become an expectation. But if you saw something like that, how much joy do you think people would say, man, they're doing something? And this stuff gets easier. But that's a small little thing that we really could do to figure that out. And I'm not saying you should or whatever, but
Right, yeah.
I'm hoping, I'm encouraging you to look for some of those. They may not be cost-wise, but it's just that perception that goes back that I've heard so many times. They're not doing anything, they're not doing anything, because they just don't see it.
Right. Communication. And that's why we're here tonight. But as you can see,
Well, it's, yeah, well,
And maybe they've already got the
well, it's,
information.
and it's visual PR is what it is. I mean, when you can see it happening, which I do understand that. We don't, as a community, don't get behind a whole lot that the school district does, as a community.
Yeah. I think
I think
That's
there's
where
a
your
lot.
top 10 taxpayers
Yeah.
could help you. Because think about it, they're going to be your larger employers too. And so you're going to have a larger voting base.
It's interesting you brought that up because Ms. Coyazzo in Somerset, Toyota is by far their biggest, and she has partnered with Toyota. They fund 100% of their robotics program. Toyota does, because they need robotic technicians, right? And so she's created that link. She's big into that kind of stuff.
And just so you know, in Toyota, when I did a project for Kennedy, Toyota has a company called Apex, if it's still the same one, and they do all the first-year screening. Toyota doesn't even hire first-year people. They do that to fish out for people that are serious, they're not coming to work, can't pass drug tests. So partnering with Apex, which Toyota's probably gonna say, hey, we'd love it because it makes their job easier. And I bet you there's some people that do that here for Formosa.
Yeah, because I know Formosa hires that way. So I don't know the name of the company they're using, but they do it.
So anyway, you've got opportunity, and I would really, and that's one reason I came tonight. Can I go out and help you? I don't have any restrictions, not on the board, but I really want this to pass because I want teachers to get what they need, or staff.
as a community member, you can do whatever you so
Sure,
choose.
but you can guide me and say, hey, if you don't mind going over here and
So
share
we can't guide you.
Okay.
I can't guide you,
All right.
but you know, as a community member, it is your right to be favoring the VATRE or not favoring it, but thank you.
So thanks for listening.
Yeah.
I hope it
Thank you.
makes you think a little bit, maybe just try to be creative and see what else.
Like Mr. Jones, you know, you have given a lot of your time for the district, and we appreciate that. Whether you're on the board or whether you're not on the board and you're just here as a concerned taxpayer and citizen and wanting better for our kids, that's the only way we can do it is when we link arms and do it together. So, all right. Thank y'all.
Thank you.